green. Are you an ultimate Eagles football fan? Well, you're in the right place.
Ready?
This is Birds 365, hosted by the new Mac and Mac, Jody McDonald and John McMullen.
Here we go.
Who collectively have covered and talked about more than 50 plus years of Eagles football. Kick off your day with Birds 365. You'll get debate.
We love to argue.
You'll get the real story from inside the locker room. And you'll hear from some of the great football minds from around the region. You're about to become an Eagles insider. Get in the game. Join Jody Mack and Johnny Mack and join the football community that flocks to Birds 365. Birds 365 starts right now.
Welcome to the NFL. Let's go.
It is a truth-telling Tuesday here on Birds 365. With your Mac and Mac guys, John McMullen and Jody McDonald. Johnny Mac, I got excited yesterday. I think I saw it on a tweet, and it said Eagles sign. And I was thinking it was going to be James Bradberry. And I was, all right, and we'll be talking about on Birds 365 tomorrow. No, they signed one of their practice squad guys from they brought in. Hopefully he's a practice squad guy. Tryout camp guys that they had in last week as rookies. Good for Carrick
Wheatball. Yeah, I like the name Carrick Wheatball. I said that it's one of the things I tweeted during rookie mini camp. So I don't know if he can play, but I enjoy the name Carrick Wheatball. So yeah, I mean, this is what happens. A bunch of tryout players signed around the NFL. You know, I joke, I don't know how you judge these guys anymore because
right.
You do so little in ththese camps, but you know, probably showed off a little athleticism, and he's got some size, 6'2". You know, it's always a good sort of carrot to dangle for tryout players that say, you know, if you do things the right way, we'll give you an opportunity, things like that. But I wouldn't expect Kurt Wheatball to be a meaningful contributor this fall.
Two things on Carrick. I can actually speak to him a little bit because, you know, yours truly works Saturday nights on
Hey, you're
CBS
Fresno
Sports Radio.
State beat guy, huh?
Oh, yeah, because I think I've mentioned this here on Birds 365 before. I like their quarterback, Fresno State's quarterback, kid by the name of Jake Ainer, who started in Washington, transferred to Fresno State, had good seasons with Fresno State. The coach of Fresno State actually got hired to be the Washington coach this offseason. He was going to transfer to Washington to stick with his coach and go back where he actually started his college career, and then said, no, you know what, I'll just stay at Fresno State. He decided to back out of the transfer portal. But I really like the kid. I had him on a couple of times watching late night games while I'm on the air till 2 a.m. I think he's got nerve. I think he's got moxie. He's got a kind of a funky delivery, but gets the ball out in a hurry. So I watched a bunch of Fresno State games this year, so I can actually speak to Carrick. He's got size, and he's got the ability to get behind defenders. He's got some speed. Yeah, he's, you know, I'm a baseball guy. Spring training every year, they start with extra pitchers and catchers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that with football. You want the quarterbacks to get in as many throws as they can, so you need a couple extra wide receivers. Don't know if he's going to make even the practice squad with this team, but if he comes in and just wows them, your point about how much of an opportunity do they really get a chance to showcase themselves is unfortunately on point, but you never know. Good for the kid. I'll be rooting for him. I think I'm kind of rooting upstream, but that's okay. Give the kid a chance. Let him come into camp and show. You know, I kind of poke fun at Zach Pascal because he's the teacher's pet. And he'll be here. He's not going anywhere. He's going to get a roster spot over Carrick. But there's a guy I can root for to make the practice squad.
Now, you're right, by the way, in, when you talk about bodies in training camp, even more so than OTAs, obviously, because you're not doing a ton of stuff. The most bodies you always bring in are defensive backs and receivers, because those are the guys that, Doug Peterson used to call them thoroughbreds. Those are the guys that they got to be right to be playing at an optimal level. So, a lot of soft tissue injuries. The last thing you want is somebody tweaking a hamstring, then going out there trying to play through it. And then a week, 10-day injury turns into a 2-month injury. So anytime there's anything wrong with those guys in training camp, they just shut them down. And to do that, you need bodies.
Yep.
And the Eagles have a lot of bodies at wide receiver, a lot of bodies at defensive back, and that's by design. You need them. You need them at those particular positions to get through practice.
And we are still weeks away from the opening of training camp, and the quarterbacks need to get their work, and that's why the wide receivers are there. I want to touch on the quarterback here in town, and of course, that's Jalen Hurts. Our buddy Joe Santaliquito, who was on with us last week, right? Didn't we have Joe on last week? I didn't think it was 2
we've
weeks
had
ago.
audio Joe because he couldn't.
Oh, that's right. He had computer problems. Joe was on with us last week. He did a hit for Bleeding Green Nation, our buddy Brandley Gouton site, this past week. And everybody's looking at the Eagles schedule and in different ways and forms and the like. He went down compared the two quarterbacks in each game matchup between the Eagles and their opponents upcoming this year. So you've got 17 regular season games, 3 quarterbacks of which you're going to face twice: Giants, Commanders, or as Glenn Macnow likes to call them, the Commies, and the Dallas Cowboys. How many out of the 17 games, if you did or didn't see this, or if you don't remember, don't have it in front of you right now, Johnny Mac, how many of the 17 games do you think Joe Santaliquito said the Eagles have the advantage before the ball is ever snapped at the quarterback position coming into that game?
Well, I didn't see Joe's piece, so I'm just looking at the schedule here. So I'll do it real quick. Detroit, I would say yes, they have the advantage. Minnesota, no. Washington, we know it's Joe, so he's going yes there. Jacksonville, I would say not long term, but right now, yes. Arizona, no. Dallas, no. Pittsburgh, yes. Houston, yes. And by yes, I mean have the better option. Washington, yes. Indianapolis, no. Green Bay, no. Tennessee, I'm going to say he gave it a yes, even though you could argue that, and I would argue it. Giants, he would give a yes. Bears, a yes. Cowboys, again, no. Saints, I'm going to say he would say the Eagles are better. I wouldn't be so sure. And then the Giants would be a yes. That would be my guesses.
No, you did a good job. I hope you were adding up. Did you do the little?
I did not add. So I'll do it real quick. So,
do it for me. Yeah.
Minnesota would be better. So I'll do the ones that would be better. Minnesota, Arizona, Dallas, Indianapolis, Green Bay, Dallas.
So that would be 6, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I would argue more. I would argue Tennessee.
Right.
The Saints might have a better.
Right. 6 out of 17 would be the way that you thought that Joe was going to.
Yeah.
So that means 11 of the 17, he would give the Eagles an advantage at the quarterback position, if my math is correct.
Correct. And
Joe
we got to be careful with 17, 18.
5.
That's it.
5 that the Eagles are better in coming into the game.
Wow. Yeah, he was hard. I thought he was going to be too easy. No, he was hard.
Two of the 5 is one quarterback, and that would be Daniel Jones of the Giants. Is the only in-division quarterback that he ranks.
Now, I agree with him. I assume he went with Jacksonville because of Trevor Lawrence.
That is one of his 5 as well. Correct.
I assume he went with Tennessee.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Wow.
He gives Ryan Tannehill the nod over Jalen Hurts.
Wow. Now that stuns me. I assume he went New Orleans.
Nope.
Wow. All right. You got to give me this, Jody. I'm
His
interested.
5 were Daniel Jones twice, the 2 second-year quarterbacks only because they played like rookies last year, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, and the actual rookie quarterback, Kenny Pickett. Those are the only 5 games that Joe said the Eagles come into the game
He's
with an
giving
advantage.
Davis Mills an advantage.
He gave Davis Mills the nod over Jalen Hurts this upcoming year.
That's harsh. Well, hey, he's a harsh grader.
Yeah.
Now, I was going back. I agree with Tennessee. Like, I think Ryan Tannehill's better right now than Jalen Hurts. I think you can make a strong argument that New Orleans is better right now if Jameis Winston is healthy. And there's a bunch of caveats. Not massively better, but I don't have a problem with those. Yeah, I mean, Davis Mills, come on. And I'm higher on Davis Mills. You're the harsh one. I'm higher on Davis Mills than
is
you.
woefully overrated by the people down there in Houston.
I think he's got a better chance than you, but that's he's done nothing to the point to prove that he's better than Jalen Hurts, even pedigree wise. I mean, if Jalen was a 2nd round pick, Davis was a 3rd, I think.
Right.
I have to double check. Yeah, I don't get that one. That's the one that specifically would jump out at me and say, come on. I'm gonna give Joe a come on with Davis Mills.
Come on. Here's my take, just for what it's worth. And when you went through them, you were projecting what you thought Joe did, not what you would do. You said a couple times, I might argue that, but I'll ask you to follow me and give me your list. Better quarterback, and that's what they've accomplished, and projecting what they're going to be this year. For me, I would rank Jalen Hurts ahead of Jared Goff. I know Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl. Jared Goff was terrible last year. Terrible. And I don't know why I should expect him to be better this year. So that's one I disagree on. Although I'm not the biggest Kirk Cousins fan, you have to give Cousins his props. He's got better receivers.
Yeah.
You just, I'm not a huge fan of Cousins, but he's better than Hurts.
Nobody is, but he's better. My definition of Kirk Cousins. He's probably better than your quarterback. That's the case here.
And I think that's the case. I'm taking Jalen Hurts over Carson Wentz. I know Carson Wentz had a couple of statistical categories which looked okay last year. He appled up at the end of the season. I'm sorry. Right now, I got a choice between those 2 guys. I'm taking Jalen Hurts every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Well, that's because it was Joe. I assumed he would go Jalen Hurts there, but
no, he went Wentz.
Yeah, hey man, objectivity. I'm with you. Look, if Carson Wentz can play well for short periods, can look better for a short stint, that wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I mean, if you ask me who's the better quarterback right now, I would say it's Jalen Hurts over Carson Wentz.
That one surprised me. We agree on Lawrence. Kyler Murray gets the nod. Dak both times. We agreed on Kenny Pickett. You got to give the nod to the 3rd-year quarterback rather than the first. Davis Mills, we discussed. I'm taking Jalen. It's not even a debate. Ryan, you got to go. Rodgers, you got to go. Yeah, I'm taking him over Tannehill. Tannehill started to show remnants of Miami again last year. And this was real simple for me. Who's got A.J. Brown? Tannehill had him last year. Hurts has him this year. Going into this game, who do I think has an advantage at quarterback? The guy who's going to be throwing the ball to A.J. Brown. I take Hurts. He took Tannehill. You got Jones twice, Fields, and Jameis. You're right. And that's a late in the season game. If Jameis is still standing, I'll give him the nod. But if I had to bet my own money right now, will Jameis still be playing by that week in the season? The answer is no. So it may end up being Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, versus Jalen Hurts at that time.
Joe was harsh. I'm surprised how harsh. Here's the issue with me, Jody. I start looking at, because I think it's more important, the projection than anything else. Some of these other teams, long term, is he better than Trevor Lawrence? Would I rather have him? No. Long term, Kenny Pickett, I don't know. You have to argue that. That's a legitimate argument. Davis Mills, I would argue I'd still go Jalen Hurts, even though I'll give him a little bit more oomph than you. Justin Fields, hey, I've said it from last year. They better hope Justin Fields doesn't turn anything into anything. And by the way, the Bears are helping them in that estimation because they don't seem to be doing a damn thing to help Justin Fields. But they better hope he's got a bigger long-term upside, because if that guy turns into a star, that's going to be a story 2 years down the road. Talent-wise, I got to go Justin Fields. I mean,
right.
Got to be honest.
You know how big a Justin Fields fan I am. I really like the kid and think he's got a chance to be a star. If they ever give him any weapons, not improved weapons, any at all, because right now the Bears have none, zero. Yeah, Jalen Hurts has so much more at his disposal than Fields does. It's not even worth commenting on. So that is one of the reasons why I would give Jalen the nod there. But I, like you, think that you got to give props to what they're going to be able to do this year. And I don't think Justin Fields is going to be able to do much of anything, because I don't like the Bears team at all.
Well, I'm surprised. I'm still surprised Joe went Carson Wentz twice over Jalen Hurts. I'm surprised. People surprise you. People surprise you, Jody.
Every once in a while. We'll find out if our first guest surprises us. A guy who I knew at WIP, worked before him, after him for years. He's still in the broadcast business, doing a Eagles podcast these days. John Barchard is going to hop aboard with us. Don't see him in the green room yet, but he's scheduled to hop aboard here. Hopefully he is able to do just that. We're going to get John Barchard up in hour number 1 and Les Bowen up in hour number 2. Got plenty to kick around over the next hour and change. We appreciate you streaming in right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel to Birds 365.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake them out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
You got your MAGA Mag guys here on Birds 365, a Tuesday get-together. Waiting on John Barchard.
Yeah, Tone, if you can hear me, John didn't get the link. So I told him to check his spam. So we're doing things on the fly, Jody.
Gotcha. We've had some spam issues for whatever reason. It seems like links have been going to spam. Hopefully we get John Barchard up here in just a couple minutes. When we were running down Joe Santoliquido's matchup, as far as quarterbacks go, one of the ones will always grab people's attention, and it did to some of our streamers here on our show, the Carson Wentz comparison, because that's who replaced Carson Wentz, and we know the entire backstory of Carson Wentz, what he did, how it ended, everything else. Glenn Macnow and I discussed this Sunday on WIP, and Reuben Frank commented on it in his column on NBC Sports Philadelphia over the weekend. What kind of response Carson Wentz is going to get when he comes back here to Philadelphia in week number 10, I believe it is. What will Eagle fans do when Carson Wentz takes the field for the first time? People have divergent ideas about how the Eagle fans will react. And on that given Sunday, there'll be 60,000 plus in there, and it'll come down to them. Everybody can have an opinion on it. What do you think the reaction to Carson's going to be when he comes back?
I think it's going to be fine. I think he's going to be very warmly received before the game, and once it's kickoff, I think everything turns. But I think Philadelphia fans have proven to be understanding before, more than the national reputation. When guys come back, they cheer them. Now, when the game starts, that's going to be changed. Now, I will admit Carson's a little bit different because of the angst, but I do think they're going to cheer him pregame. And then when the game starts, they're going to be pretty merciful. You know, they're not going to have not much mercy during the game, Jody. But I think pregame, I think it's going to be fun.
Okay, I'll give you my opinion on that in a second. All right, I'm told we're ready to punch up our first guest. I see him in the green room. He's straightening out his camera, as a matter of fact. Let's see if we can get John Barchard up here. He's checking in from outside. Wait, is this your backyard, Barchard?
Oh man, no, we're having breakfast this morning. So
wow. What? Well, now I'm really impressed. You stopped in breakfast to visit with me and Jody.
Yeah, I figured you guys want a little atmosphere for this morning. Thanks for having me on, fellas. It's really great to see you again and talk to you. And Jody, it was great to hear you and Glenn this weekend as well.
How about that?
Thank you, buddy. So let's jump into it. I need your opinion. John gave his. I'll give mine after yours. Week 10, Washington Commanders come to Philadelphia. Carson Wentz, his return to the city of brotherly love. Will love be shown by the crowd when he comes out onto the field?
Not even 1%. Jody.
All right.
Not even.
I'm more. It's interesting because obviously Philadelphia fans tend to have this complex that people are always against them. I think they're going to be fine pregame. Now, in game, I think they're going to be vicious, but I don't think there's a problem in game. I think pregame is going to be fine. I'm wrong, John. It wouldn't be the first time. I will say that.
Johnny B, I am with you. What I said to Glenn on Sunday was, if you needed to break it down percentage-wise, for me, it's about 90% boos, 10% cheers.
Yeah.
The boos will well drown out any cheers that Carson Wentz gets. And this is something I do have 30 years of history on, because I remember I specifically went down, got there early enough to see when he came out on the field. There were more boos than cheers for Reggie White. All-time great, Hall of Famer Eagles never gave him an offer to stay a Philadelphia Eagle. Norman Brayman kissed him goodbye as he went out the door. He put on another team's uniform. There were more boos than cheers. And I think it's a bad rap that Philadelphia, they boo that. Yeah, they do. That's what they do. That's what everybody should do. Guy leaves, goes to another team, makes the decision to go elsewhere. I thought Reddy was going to be the exception to the rule because he didn't really even have a chance to decide to stay. No, Carson forced his way out of town. He should be booed from the minute his uniform comes out onto the field. And I think Eagle fans will do just that. They will boo
by the
him.
way, you guys have talked me into it. I've evolved. I was trying to get John up and trying to figure out and get him on the show. And then I'm starting to think about people coming back afterwards, non-players like Doug Peterson, I think will be cheered. But yeah, you're probably right now that I think about it. This is like Ben Simmons coming back to in his career. So yeah, I was thinking more of the evolution because I think the fan base has evolved when it comes to older players coming back. Like if Carson comes back after he's retired, I think there will be cheers. In game against a division rival. Yeah, I'm probably wrong on that one.
I was just saying the only way that I think me and Jody are wrong is if we get it. If we week 3, when everyone goes down there and takes over FedEx Field, maybe we get it out then enough where there's not as much of a boo. But man, if they end up kicking their butt week 3, that's only I think going to be worse, Jody. When he comes home on a Monday night game after everyone's been loaded up, oh my goodness! So,
well, honestly, the bigger issue is he even going to be there on the Monday night?
Right.
Is he going to be playing?
Week 10 is pushing it.
Yeah, that's probably the bigger issue.
Yeah.
As a whole, though, John, want to get your thoughts. Obviously, we haven't seen you in a while. The expectations of this team after the draft, because I got a distinct sort of 2 camps before the draft. Everyone was like, I say it all the time. Jody knows we're not ready. We're not ready to do this. We're not ready to do this, blah, blah, blah. Now, after the draft and after Jordan Davis and AJ Brown, everybody's like, let's go. Let's go. This is going to be a really good football team. Where are you and where are your listeners in that sort of pre-draft, post-draft expectation?
When you said it, I think the AJ Brown trade really did change pretty much everyone's expectations and feelings for the most part. I would say that's kind of put everybody into a stratosphere. Now, the most common phrase you probably guys hear right after this, like, yeah, but what about the quarterback? And it's hard to tangibly say anything about Jalen Hurts. And yeah, the Tom House stuff, I know he's all working hard, and I have a lot of faith that he'll get there. I just don't think a lot of this fan base does. Obviously, he's a really hard worker. Everybody wants him to succeed. So I think it kind of puts everybody still in a little bit of a predicament around that 9-10 win total. But I think this team, because of the schedule, the way it's laid out, could easily see them with 11 games. If everything goes right, if everyone stays healthy, and this is a really good run, like this is an NFC championship type of schedule. I don't know if they can get there, and I don't know how much Howie Roseman really values this season and kind of pushing some of those picks in. But something that we've kind of theorized a little bit is just, listen, if this team is really hot to start, and they could be 3-1, 4-0 with that schedule going into Arizona. Maybe it's a lot like Carson Wentz going to that Thursday night game of the Carolina Panthers during that Super Bowl run. That's kind of what Arizona looks like with Jalen Hurts this time around. And if you're 4-1, 5-0, are you really not going to push your chips in the middle at a chance to go on a run in the NFC? While most of the quarterbacks you're going to face are in the AFC, you're avoiding pretty much every single one of them this year. And I think who's the best quarterback that they're playing this year, guys? I can't even remember. But it's
Aaron Rodgers. But after
Rodgers,
that,
he's pretty good.
There's a deep drop off after Aaron Rodgers. Then you have an argument: is it Kyler Murray? Is it Dak Prescott? Is it Matt Ryan? Is it Kirk Cousins? You got a deep drop after Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. So I just think it's a schedule that's worth pushing in your chips in the middle for if everything ends up going right in the first part of it. And I don't think Howie Roseman thinks twice about it. I really do believe, unless there's a massive failure on Jalen Hurts' part, that they're going to invest all these picks into players and not quarterbacks.
All right, interesting way you look at it, John. You're saying that they could be 3-1, shoot maybe 4-0. We've said the same thing here on Birds 365. The easy early schedule is something the Eagles must take an advantage of. If they do, and you say Howie Roseman reevaluates and goes, damn, yeah, we can win this division. We can make hay in the end. Let me look to upgrade the team on the fly in season prior to the trade deadline, which I don't have in front of me, but usually is around week 6 or week 7. So 4 or 5 weeks in, you're looking to improve the team, maybe willing to give up future draft capital to do so. What position most likely are they going to be looking to upgrade?
Pass rusher. Pass rusher, pass rusher, pass rusher. And that's what you're kind of hoping, like maybe one of these top tier teams that are going in, the Rams, they're fantastic. They won the Super Bowl, the whole story. It's great. Are they really going to be able to go back there this year? Are the Cardinals going to be able to hang? Broncos just got Russell Wilson. The AFC West is completely stacked. One of those teams aren't going to make it, So if something falters and you're sitting there, and Jody, bye week's week 7, so you're going to have plenty of time to evaluate right before the trade deadline. So, I think if a contender that we think is in the air is shaken loose and they have a premier pass rusher, that's what I would probably go after here.
John, here's where I'll play devil's advocate with you. If you're needing a pass rusher at the trade deadline, another one, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham have worked out all that well. And right now in the offseason, that looks like the strength of the team, the front 7 versus the secondary, where you have massive holes at corner and safety. That wouldn't be a good sign to me if the Eagles were desperate for a pass rusher at the trade deadline.
Well, it's not a good sign to me when you re-sign Derek Barnett either. So I get that. You're probably right. This is what I don't know. What are you doing with Brandon Graham in this supposedly new look defense? That's another part of that I still haven't wrapped my head around. Like, is he going to be more Hassan Reddick this year than he has been Brandon Graham in the past, and maybe go to some of the old Chip Kelly days where he was playing stand-up linebacker for a few of them or dropping back in coverage? I doubt they have him do that, but I still think that this isn't really completely shaped into what Jonathan Gannon was. And I think everyone's credit here on 365, you guys have pretty much mentioned that too. Like, we're not exactly sure what's going to happen with Fletcher Cox or Hargrave or anything like that after this year either. So, I as much as they've invested in Hassan and all those other guys, I still think there's still some holes at pass rusher.
I like your line of logic about the Eagles being aggressive at the trade deadline, off to a good start. That'll be a good thing. You can find ways to win games, but also acknowledge, we're not as good in this area. We're lucky we didn't get beat because we have a weakness in this area. Oh, no, John's right. It's the defensive backfield, more so the pass rush. And I'm not sure their pass rush is going to be great. And you and I are on the same page. Why is Derek Barnett here? Don't quite understand that, but it's cornerback. They need an upgrade at quarterback. And maybe one of these undrafted free agent guys come in and look good the first 3 weeks playing. I doubt it. They need to improve that now, John. They need to go out and get James Bradberry now. Because if you wait till in season and make a trade, you got to give up one of those draft picks that Howie Roseman loves to covet. You don't have to give up anything other than money to get James Bradberry. Get it done and get it done now, and we don't have to worry about, do we push our chips into the table before the draft day the draft day deadline.
Okay, tell your producers just to cut that, put it on Twitter at Eagles, because that's exactly how I feel. Can anyone explain why there's not, is the market softer for James Bradberry than we actually think or something? Like, I don't understand that at all. Does anybody have any opinion?
Well, if the timing, I think the timing hurts Bradberry. Obviously, everybody has their sort of off season, which is inflated at 90 players. So you've already budgeted. If it were the start of free agency and the Giants put Bradberry out there right away, I think he's a $10 million a year player. And I think that's how he feels. So he's sitting out there. That's where it starts. I imagine for James Bradberry in this camp is $10 million a year. And that's difficult to fit into your budget at this particular point. Now, I think ultimately there's going to be enough teams, Kansas City, I've heard, Las Vegas, Indianapolis, Eagles. Somebody's going to go there. I don't think it's going to be the Eagles. The Eagles, John, they're very disciplined. If they can get them at 1 year, $8 million, say, hey, you can be a starter like Steve Nelson. I said, much better player than Steve Nelson. But what the Eagles offered Steve Nelson was, you're the starting cornerback. You have an opportunity to make some plays opposite Darius Slay. You can get right back into free agency. And he got a nice little deal with Houston. Same thing with Bradberry. He can start from day one. He's going to get plenty of opportunities because people don't want to throw the football at Darius. He's going to yell at me for calling him Darius, but they don't want to throw the football that way. So he's going to have a chance to make some plays. He's still a good player. He's right back on the free agent market. Maybe gets $13 million next year. That's what I think is the Eagles' selling point with James Bradberry.
Can you imagine all this discipline waiting? They get him for $8 million. That would make a lot of Eagles fans happy, for sure. And the other thing I was wondering, what do you guys think about the Jesse Bates situation in
Wow, yeah, I was going to bring up Jesse Bates. Now that is a splash move. Now, hey, Jody knows I laugh at Cincinnati all the time. One of the great, amazing things, I don't think people realize how unbelievable it is that the Cincinnati Bengals, with their budget, the way they run their organization, they made the Super Bowl. It is one of the great miracles of life. And they're haggling with their, one of their best defensive players because they don't want to pay him. Could the Eagles swoop in? Now that's a total difference maker.
Right. But hold on. Who's the better DB? Jesse Bates or James Bradberry? Jesse Bates. I'll give you that for sure. Which position has higher value around the league, cornerback or safety?
Yeah, I would.
Gotta be close. Come on, it's cornerback. Well, it's cornerback. I know it's cornerback. Everybody knows it's cornerback. Most importantly, Howie Roseman knows it's cornerback. I'm not talking about the way the Eagles. I'm talking about how the league values, and that can easily be researched. Who gets paid more, corners or safeties?
Yeah.
Corners do. So that ends the conversation. The Eagles are going to set the market on paying a safety and have to give up draft capital to be able to get this guy. No chance, no shot. There's no way. You talk about Howie Roseman being
make
patient,
a splash,
and
Jody.
the Eagles don't overpay or whatever. No, what the Eagles won't be doing is overpaying for a safety, both in salary and in draft compensation, just to trade for him and get him. No, they would be better advised, and there's a much better chance they go get a James Bradberry because it's a 1-year commitment at less money than you're going to have to pay Jesse Bates to play safety. That's much more up Howie Roseman's sleeve than cutting a deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. Not happening.
Well, I can't really argue too much with Jody on that one in terms of.
Oh yeah,
but I would. The only thing I would say is that Darius Slay is one of a kind for now. You can deal with Bates, and you probably have to go get 2 corners no matter what. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do, but you have a pretty good mix of just like. Okay, Slay can go all over the map with wide receiver 1. Even if it ends up being Tay Gowan at CB2 and you have Jesse Bates behind him, you can run some form of confusing zone coverage that I'm sure Jonathan Gannon would love to do anyway. But Jody's probably right realistically. Like, they already did that same thing with A.J. Brown. I don't think they're going to do that with a safety they don't value. So I still want it to happen despite Jody's pessimistic.
Oh, yeah. Usually I'm the one who doesn't bring up the pie in the sky stuff.
Oh, and I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just maybe it's because John is poo-pooing the Bradberry thing, which I think is smarter and more of a necessity. You want to throw cold water on the Eagles potentially doing something. We have enough history of them not paying a position that they're one of the teams that bow to the altar of, well, but the league doesn't value this position. Safety is one of them, and I don't see the Eagles looking to pay top of the market money for a safety. And the safety you got to trade for. I just don't see it happening.
Well, I'm going to give the fans a little hope, and I'll throw this to John as well. They were going to pay Marcus Williams They just, Baltimore went a little bit past where they wanted to go, but they were willing to go over $10 million a year for Marcus Williams to play safety, which is not traditionally what this team would do. So there's a little bit of a door open. And I would argue Jesse Bates, different type of safety, but is a better safety than Marcus Williams. Now, you do have to give up, as you mentioned, draft capital as well. So it's significant from that standpoint. By no stretch of the imagination am I saying this is likely, but because of how cheap the Bengals are, because the Eagles proved that if they like a player, they'll go all in, John Barchard. They will go all in. Does that give you any hope?
I mean,
inkling of hope?
Especially when the people that paid Marcus drafted Kyle Hamilton and then put a green helmet on his sticker. Like, it was so weird. I don't know what they're doing. So maybe I think there might be. They have to be doing something. They're not sitting on their hands and going like, yeah, let's go and play.
And that's probably what they're doing. The third Baltimore safety, Philadelphia native Chuck Clark. That's probably what they're doing.
Right.
And they did ask about Clark on draft night as well.
Yeah. Let's get to some of the cold hard numbers though. Bates is refusing to play on the tender, right? And the contract tender for a safety is almost $13 million. $12.9 million. So the Eagles would have to give Cincinnati something they'd accept to take the player and then go above and beyond $13 million. And you're telling me, they might have gotten 10, up to 10 with Marcus Williams. There's no way the Eagles are getting into the neighborhood of what Jesse Bates is going to want to get paid.
I actually think the numbers would be okay, Jody, just because maybe I'm wrong here, and please correct me, but it feels as though the cap is going to go up almost $50 to $60 million over the next 2 years. So I would actually advise everyone that if you're going to pay a safety, if you're going to pay a wide receiver, if you're going to pay a corner long-term, do it now, because the market in the next 2 years is going to be extraordinary. So if you can land a long-term deal with Bates now, it's going to look pretty significantly happy, just like I'm sure that $16.8 million per year with A.J. Brown's contract is going to look that just as nice too in a couple of years when that's all redone. But so I would still say probably doesn't happen. I think Jody's right, but I'm more on the let's have some silver lining with John McMullen.
Yeah, that's rare that I'm the optimistic one. I'm usually the pessimistic one. And by the way, I mean, this is not going to happen. So I'm just doing this for talk show fodder. But I will say this, and to Jody's point, generally, when people don't want to play for the franchise tag, it's about 1 year, right? They want 2 years, they want 3 years, they want guaranteed money. So it's not necessarily the average annual value of I got to have over 13 million. It's about I want 30 million guaranteed over. I want 30 million guaranteed over 3 years. You might be able to get a better deal than the franchise tag. And the rare fact of Cincinnati, and they always joke at it from a scouting perspective. Jody knows this. Before all the upheaval, John, in the Eagles scouting department, it was 21 deep. Cincinnati's was 5 deep. Duke Tobin and basically a bunch of interns, and they made the Super Bowl. So it's a rare advantage to take advantage of a team that is not willing to spend money. It doesn't come around that often. That's why I leave the door open just a sliver,
Especially when Howie Roseman can get his name in the headlines with another steal of a deal and do the tour and tell Peter Schrager how much his front office is great and, on and on and on there. So, yeah.
And have it repeated again and again and again.
All right, but I'm going to fight this fight again. Give me, and I trust both of you guys to be honest here. If the 1 year deal, maybe even it goes to 2 year deal, if it's advantageous for the Eagles, a 2 year deal with money spread out so you can give them less in the first year, but then you have a second year. If he just flat out comes in and stinks, you're going to have to pay a price with dead money in the second year. Oh, by the way, I think the chances of that happening with Bradberry is about 5% out of 100. So you can structure the contract whichever works well for both parties. What do you think the average annual value is going to be for Bradberry and years and Bates and years? You think it's more likely the Eagles are going to get into that not 8, 9, maybe topping out at $10 million Bradberry, because that's all he's going to get right now. The fact that he didn't sign immediately with a team tells you the market is soft. Sometimes leverage changes and somebody gets hurt, and that can change the landscape. But right now, you'd probably look at about a $10 million player. Bates is looking at 15. Which do you think is more likely? The Eagles going to spend $10 million on a quarterback or $15 million on a safety?
10 on a corner.
Oh, yeah. No question about it. But I will say that potential, if Bates were to come here, and again, this is pie in the sky, I freely admit it. I don't want everyone to get excited. It's going to be the full-blown 5-year deal with 2 years on the back end that are completely voidable. It's going to be about what are the first 2-3 years, what is the guaranteed money. But the average annual value that Jody's talking about, yeah, it's going to explode. It's going to be 15, 16 million, but it's not going to be real. So, how much guaranteed money in the first 2, maybe 3
well,
years?
Then, if you want to talk about the guarantee, Marcus Williams' guarantee was, I have it right here in front of me, $37 million. Do we agree that Bates is going to be more?
He'd be in the same range. He would be in the same range. Remember, he's 25, and that's the thing. That's what AJ Brown's 20.
Right, he's 25. Marcus Williams is 26.
25,
so
25, 26. That's the players the Eagles want to give big money in big years to.
Right.
Young
so the
players.
guaranteed money for Bates, who is younger certainly than Bradberry, would be 36, 37, 38, 39 million. The guaranteed money for Bradberry is going to be 10. 1 year. That's it. Done. It's going to be a 1 year make a deal. Who do you want? You want to lay out 37, 38 million guaranteed or 10 million guaranteed?
Well, that's a different discussion. Now, John can answer that as well, but I would say I want the better player. To me, Bates is a better player.
Yeah, same. I mean, we're not Howie Roseman, but there's no question that I would pay heavily and take the ride with Bates and James Bradberry's fine. I think he's
good player. Yeah.
A little better than Steven Nelson, but not much better.
Really? You think he's only a little better than Steven Nelson?
Yeah, I think he's. What was Steven making last year? 5 or 7 million. So we're
not even.
Not
4
even.
And
he was 3 million, and I think he made a couple million.
I don't think he's $6 million better than Steven Nelson. And granted, yes, they need somebody in there, but I don't think James Bradberry is the only thing that you have going for you. I think Jesse Bates is way more important in the long run, and I would absolutely do that because I view him as AJ Brown on the other side.
Now, here's an interesting question. I'll leave the last one from me, John.
Okay.
Would you rather have Bradberry and Chuck Clark than Jesse Bates? Then I think, can you get both? Then I think you're really cooking with some gas.
Yeah, I would probably be more comfortable going with that scenario. Then, if you can give me another safety that's on the market along with Bradberry, that's fine. I think that everybody'd be happy with that.
Yeah, but I don't know that the Ravens are going to move Chuck Clark. Makes sense. I proposed that the minute they drafted Kyle Hamilton, hey, you can get your hands on Chuck Clark. But the Ravens have come out and said they have no interest in dealing him. But like John likes to say here on the show, one of his favorite lines and my favorite as well, they're not under oath. They can say whatever they want now, but they can change their mind a little bit later on down the road. Hey, Mr. Barchard, great catching up with you, brother. Where can people listen to the podcast?
Just head on over to any social platform, bellandthebirdman.com or Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all that fun stuff. And look forward to talking to you again anytime soon. Would love to have you guys on the show as well.
Done deal. Anytime you need yours truly, at least. McMullen's busy. He works for a living. I just kind of hang around the house, watch TV, and hop on YouTube every once in a while. Tell Vince Eskimo Quinn we send our regards as well.
We will absolutely do that, my friend. Thank you so much, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
John Barchard from Bell and the Birdmen Eagles podcast joining us here on Birds 365. All right, McMullen and McDonald coming back. I do want to get in a little bit more about these salaries for defensive backs. and Barchard isn't as big a Bradberry fan as I am. John isn't as big a Bradberry fan as I am. I think he's a legit top 10 cornerback in the National Football League. I'm that big a fan. Do you know how many cornerbacks in the National Football League make over $10 million on an average annual value of their deal? I'll give you that number when we come back here on Birds 365.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Got your Mag guys here on Birds 365. Thank John Barchard for coming aboard. Good man.
I forgot to ask him what he was having for breakfast, too, Jody. It's a bad job by me.
Yeah, he did mention breakfast.
Yeah.
So something was getting cold, unless he was having cereal.
Now I feel bad. I feel bad.
I'll text him and ask him. You got his text number? Yeah, shoot him a text.
I don't have his number anymore. I got to get his number. I emailed him.
Okay, you went email. All right. Speaking of breakfast, I got a question for you, and we'll get back into cornerback salaries. Here on Birds 365, yours truly drinks coffee. You drink water. You got your container there. You're a hydrating.
Coffee messes up my voice at times. I can't. I get all choked up with too much.
Do you have coffee before the show starts?
No, after. First thing I do. As soon as I get up there, well, second thing, I take the dog out and I start getting a cup of coffee in the
Very
Keurig.
nice. I can drink it. Doesn't have any effect on my voice. So I drink coffee throughout from the time I get up until I sign off. At some point, I'll probably finish my coffee here in hour number 2 of Birds 365. Are you a full coffee pot machine guy, or are you?
We got the double. We got the double machine during the week, so it does both. During the week, I'm generally a Keurig guy because I don't have time. On the weekend, a full pot of coffee guy.
See, it's funny because in our house we have both as well. My wife uses the Keurig. I use the full pot of coffee. I don't. There's just something about the Keurig that it doesn't taste as good as a brewed pot of coffee.
I've gotten obsessed. I love. That's one of the great inventions of all time. The Keurig. I'm giving them.
It's
So
convenient.
if we can get them as a sponsor, let's get them because I want to give them props. Yeah, I love the Keurig, and it, but the thing is, Jody, and luckily my wife is very cleanly. She cleans everything to an absurd degree. You got to clean that thing. I think, you got to clean it pretty consistently, or otherwise you can get, a little downgrade.
Well, both. You got to clean your coffee maker, your pot maker as well, and the Keurig too. But I think you're right. More people might get a little lazier with the Keurig because they're in convenience mode to begin with, and don't want to actually have to do any work like cleaning out the Keurig machine. I'm just not. Maybe it's because I've been spoiled by a really good coffee maker for all these years. The reason I bring it up is I didn't know if I was going to make it back for the start of the segment because I forgot to turn it back on. How many do you use the? You said you use it on the weekend. How long does it stay on when you start it? Your coffee maker.
You mean how long does it stay on after it's done?
Yes.
Keep it
No.
heated?
After you does it stay on until you turn it off, or is it on a timer?
It's on a timer. It's about, but you can fix the timer, so you could leave it for a half hour. You could change it to an hour. You can change it whatever you want.
If you can do that with my machine, I don't know how to do it. So mine is set for 2 hours. So when I first get up in the morning, make a pot of coffee, have my first cup. At some point before I get on the air with you, I try and turn it off. And you got to wait 10 seconds before you turn it back on to get back to the full 2 hours. I forgot to turn it on and off today. So I went upstairs and there's my last cup of coffee sitting there, and it's been cold. It's been sitting there for a half an hour. So I had to go quick to the microwave to at least give it some warmth before I came back on the air. That's why I didn't know I was going to make it back in time. I screwed up my coffee today.
Yeah, it happens. And that's why I go Keurig during the week. I got too much going
Keurig,
on.
You can't screw up the timing of it. You just whenever boom, it's done, it's done. Yeah. That is a major plus for Keurig. All right, back to Corners quarterbacks. Jody Mack on his continued mission to get James Bradberry into an Eagle uniform. How many safeties right now? And John, the point you made about the average annual value of a contract isn't the be-all, end-all, tell-all, because some contracts have years on the back end that they'll probably never see, and they're written that way for agents to be able to brag as to how big a contract they got for their quarterback. So there are two numbers you got to look at: average annual value and also guaranteed money, which we did as well. How many cornerbacks do you think there are in the league that make over average annual value over $10 million a year?
10? I'm going to go, that's got to be pretty significant number. I'm going to go 20 or so.
22 cornerbacks.
Not bad.
Make $10 million or more per year. One of which, believe it or not, and this could be one of those quasi not really. And I look at the numbers of the deal. Ronald Darby is still a $10 million quarterback.
Ronald's only Ronald's still not 30. I'm pretty sure. Ronald's been around, it seems, forever now. A lot of injuries though, but yeah, he's really talented. So everyone has always kind of paid him on potential more than actually what he's done. But yeah, he got that deal. I think it was 30 million. So I don't know how it
3 year, 30 million with almost $20 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
19.5 guaranteed. That's a pretty damn good contract.
Yeah.
You telling me that James Bradberry isn't better than Ronald Darby?
No, I'm not telling you that. He is better. But there's a couple things with corners, and I've said this before. So if you look at that top of that list, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but I'm going to guess
I
the
do.
names.
New guy at the top, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I know number one is Jair Alexander.
Correct.
For obvious reasons. But I don't think he's number one for fully guaranteed money. But he's number one after overall. But, I know Jalen Ramsey's going to be there. I know Marshawn Lattimore's going to be there. I know Xavier Howard's going to be there. I know Denzel Ward's going to be there. I know Humphrey's going to be there. I know White's going to be there. Tre'Davious White. Slay. I should have said Slay. What do they all have in common? Press corners. Press corners. That's why, Dave Gettleman got a lot of criticism for paying James Bradberry what he paid him as his own corner. Look, Rasul Douglas, what kind of year did Rasul Douglas have last year, Jody? It was unbelievable.
Outstanding.
Unbelievable year from a production standpoint and just making plays all over the place. And he got a nice little deal. I don't know if you can find Rasul, but I know it wasn't anywhere near what Jair Alexander got. I'll tell you that on the same team. Zone corners don't get paid as much as press corners. That's just the way the league works. And you can argue it shouldn't be that way. And I think at times, like Bradberry, if you go back to 2020, we're at 2020. Right. He's one of the best corners in the league. I agree with you. He was top 10 corner. Last year, I don't think he was that high, but I still think he was a good player. I still think he was a very good player on a bad team. So I think that hurt him as well. And I think he's a very good corner. But you don't have to pay zone corners what you have to pay press corners. And that's where Gettleman made his mistake. If you don't have to pay somebody something, why are you paying it to them?
All right.
It just doesn't make sense.
Do you have the Pro Football Focus cornerback ranking numbers? We did this with Bradberry last week, and he was still a top 10 ranked zone cornerback, but dropped off a lot in press coverage. But that, I think, has a lot to do with the Giants and the kind of defense they play and the fact that they don't get after the quarterback.
Yeah,
they're as bad as the Eagles. It's not getting pressure on the quarterback, don't get sacks and everything. But the year before, 2020, can you find the breakdowns of rankings of cornerbacks in 2020? Because I know he's a top 10 just overall cornerback. I wonder what the breakout was between press and zone coverage for Bradberry in 2020.
Well, all I can tell offhand, he was 7th overall in 2020.
They don't have the breakout for the previous year.
But that's very good. And that's an indication that he's good in zone coverage. So that's an indication he did a really good job in press as well.
See, that's my point. And I know that he didn't. And again, John and I do talk about Pro Football Focus, and we have some respect for them. Some people just completely throw their rankings out the window and say they're ludicrous and ridiculous, and why are we paying any attention to this? A lot of times, my line of thinking lines up with Pro Football Focus's grades. Every once in a while, there's something that pops up and goes, I go, whoa. I watch football. There's no way these grades are accurate. So you can have some debate as to how accurate Pro Football Focus's grades are all along. I think that James Bradberry's a damn good press corner, too. He's a better zone coverage corner than a press. It's not like he's horrific at press coverage. I think he's pretty good at it. I think he had a little bit of a down year and a bad year last year. I think that's kind of an unfair knock you're throwing on him, that he's not all those other guys that you mentioned, they're that much better than him in press coverage. The the Xavier Howards of the world, the Tre'Davious Whites of the world, the J.C. Jacksons of the world. They're better, but not that much better than James Bradberry.
Well, I would say the names that I kind of mentioned, which I think are the best corners in the NFL. I mean, the Ramseys, the Wards, the Humphreys, the Lattimores, Alexander, I think is tremendous. White in Buffalo, Slay here. But there are other guys. Byron Jones got paid. He's not that good. Bradberry's better than him. Marcus Peters is a big name who makes a lot of plays, but he's sort of in that Trayvon Diggs modes and the fact that he gambles a lot. So he makes a lot of plays, but he makes a lot of mistakes. And he's another big name sort of press coverage guy. But I do think that first group, and I'm probably missing somebody, but Alexander in Green Bay, Ward, Humphrey, Lattimore, these are the names I always talk. If you ask me the best corners,
and Tre'Davious White and Xavier Howard, yeah, those are the best cornerbacks in the league. Bradberry's a step under them, but he's not like he's the 35th best cornerback in the league. He's a top 10, top 20 quarter. He's arguably a top 10 cornerback, bottom of the top 10. If he's in the top 10, it's 9 or 10, because those other guys that you just ran down, yes, would all rate above. They're being paid above. They rate above, and I would rate them above. He's not in league.
I would have no problem saying he's in the top 20. I would have no problem with that. But then it comes down to what I said about Dave Gettleman and one of the issues. Like, if you don't have to pay Rasul Douglas what you have to pay Jair Alexander, why are you going to pay Rasul Douglas that? And that's more of the issue. It's like, it might not even be fair, and especially for a team like the Eagles, who we think are going to play a lot of zone coverage. So in theory, okay, you want a zone, I think your better argument, Jody, to be honest, this might be the best zone corner in the NFL. And if you're going to play a bunch of zone, why not go get the best zone corner in the NFL? I think that would be my best argument if I'm trying to win over Howie Roseman. But I'm not going to pay a guy I don't have to pay. I'm not going to pay a guy like he's a press corner when he's not a press corner, is I guess what I'm also trying to say.
All right. I don't know this number. I don't know if you know it off the top of your head. If you do, please share. If you don't, it's almost an unfair question I'm asking you. How often were the Eagles in zone coverage this year? Do you know the percentage of snaps as compared to press coverage that they were in? I think we all acknowledge and know that they were in zone more than press, but do you have a guess as to what the numeric percentage?
I can find out. Probably not. I mean, they were in zone a lot, but not as much as people think. They started playing more man later in the season. So I can give
it your best guesstimate off the top of your head, and then if you can, if you know how to look it up, where to look it up.
60-40.
60-40. Yeah, I would guess slightly higher than that. Don't know if I'd get up to 70-10, but more like 2/3, 1/3, which is just a couple percentage points different. But when you're talking about how many plays do they run on defense over the course of a year, 16 games, 60 plays, 1,000 plays.
70 plays, 17 games, and the playoff game, although they didn't really play the 17th game.
Right, a percentage point actually adds up to something when you're playing 1,000 snaps. So I would think a little bit more on the zone side than it was. Here's the question you really have to ask. Howie Roseman's got to ask and answer. How much more are they going to play press coverage this year? Was Jonathan Gannon's leaning toward zone because he believes more in zone, or the defense that they had, the players that they had, the results that they had? And you're saying you think he played more press in the second half. I would guess that if that's the case, it's just slight because they had established the fact that they don't get sacks. At that point, you say, well, wait a minute, we got to play more zone because we're not. If we could get to the quarterback and get the ball out of the quarterback's hands that quickly and be able to cover, do you think Jonathan Gannon is licking his chops that he's going to be able to play more press coverage on the outside this year because they're going to get more pressure on the quarterback up front?
I've been told this a bunch of times, and the numbers, and I hesitate to give this number, Jody. 71.6% of pass attempts, the Eagles were in zone, seventh highest rate in the NFL. And they played mostly cover 3. But here's the thing, and this is why I don't like that particular statistic. There's so much mixing and matching of coverage, and some of it is, it looks like cover 3 to the naked eye. They used a lot of cover 3 last year, and they're playing mix and match. They're playing zone and man in the same defense. A lot of times, Slay would be responsible for man coverage, and everybody else would be playing zone. So they're going to put that in the zone category. So that's number one. But the biggest issue with the Eagles in coverage, and I've been told this numerous times from the coordinator himself on down, they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't get the run fits. They had to devote 8 to stop the run. That's where Jordan Davis comes in. Like, Jordan Davis is the type of player that they wanted. I talked about it on this show ad nauseum. 0-1 technique. There's a reason I predicted they were going to trade up to get him. I knew they wanted this particular player, this style of player. And I even mentioned the kid from UConn if they couldn't get him, because they wanted this type of player. And they even signed Noah Elise as an undrafted free agent, who's also that type of player, because they want a backup in case anything happens to Jordan Davis. The thought is, the domino effect from being able to stop the run without bringing safeties down, putting 8 men in the box, enables you to do more things on the back end as far as coverage. Now, as far as Jonathan Gannon goes, if you give him Jalen Ramsey opposite Darius Slay, he's going to play more man. If you give him a rookie or essentially a first-year starter, like Zach McPherson is going to be right now, if they had to play a game, he's going to play more zone. But as far as what he wants to play, if Jordan Davis is what the Eagles believe he is, they're going to play more man coverage than they did last year. But that's because they'll be able to stop the run.
Yeah,
and they'll be able to do more things in coverage.
That now you're talking about shrinking the percentage significantly, because how much do you think Jordan Davis is going to play? He's going to play at least for the first half of the season and maybe the entire season. He's going to be playing on running downs.
I agree with that. But here's the thing, Jody, and we say the same thing with Georgia. How do you accumulate statistics at Georgia when you're off the field in 3 plays?
Right.
Well, if a 3rd and 9 is better than 3rd and 2, and you can do a lot more things on 3rd and 9, and if Jordan Davis helps you stop the run on 1st down, and teams are going to throw it, but we know in general this is just the philosophy, the thesis, so to speak. If you're facing 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12 versus 3rd and 2 all the time, you're in good shape. And Jordan Davis isn't on the field, but he's impacted on 3rd down, but he's impacted the game. He's impacted the game by being on the field in the first
3rd and 7. What kind of defense are the Eagles in?
They're going to be in nickel, but
No, I'm talking zone or press.
Well, that depends on the quarterback and the time. And, if you have a young quarterback, you're more likely to be in zone. If you have a veteran quarterback and you have players that can play man, you're going to play more man. So that always depends. And that's Jonathan says it all the time, and he gets a lot of crap for it. But it really is week to week with him. It really is. He's not lying.
So the opposing team's quarterback will more dictate it than Jordan Davis will.
No, I'm saying you're saying what are they in on 3rd and 7?
Right.
How do you get to 3rd
Jordan
and 7?
Davis has done his job to get them into 3rd and 7. He's probably not going to be on the field much on 3rd and 7. So what's going to make that call? The other team's quarterback. So Jordan Davis may have put you in a specific direction, but at the end, it's going to come down to the coordinator and what he thinks best works for him down the distance. But you're telling me, and you got to take in the other team's qualities and styles
because,
as well.
You know, quarterbacks, young quarterbacks are more likely to make mistakes. And if you're comfortable enough that your pass rush is going to get home and you can play zone coverage and a young quarterback overthrows the football, well, it's going the other way. Whereas veteran quarterbacks are not likely to make that mistake. So there's so many different things that factor into it. But the biggest part of their inability to stop the run last year impacted the coverages they used. And, you know, the philosophy of they wanted to limit big plays, no question about it. That's a big part of it as well.
And my point is, go get Bradberry now. Don't wait. Get a little aggressive. Be a little proactive rather than reactive. Howie, we know you love to cut the good deal. And like John likes to say, win every trade. It could be win every trade and or win every signing. Howie, you don't have to, as long as you don't lose this one, you don't have to have a pinfall to win this one. Add the player. You could help the Eagles a lot. All right, timeout coming when we return. Our pal from NJ.com, Les Bowen's going to jump aboard. He, too, being outside. John, you and I are stuck. I never mind being here at Oceans, but truth be told, you know, we're not really outside. Both of our guests are getting some outside time in.
It's a nice day.
Outdoors, Les Bowen. He's next here on Birds 365.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
You got your Bird 65 boys. John McMullen, Jody McDonald, joined by another one of our faves. He's lounging He's relaxing. He's chillaxing, as a matter of fact, on a nice May day here in the Delaware Valley. Let's Bowen. Where are you doing your spot from, Bowen?
I'm on the screened-in back porch here in my palatial estate in South Jersey. And, got the garage back there.
I was wondering if you were down in North Carolina.
I was last week with my mom, but I'm back now. So.
All right, yeah, beautiful South Jersey as well.
Yeah, it is nice here. It really is.
Yeah. Jody's a Marlton guy. I'm a Stratford guy. Les, do you want people to know? I know.
Oh, sure. I'm in Haddon Township, right near
Haddonfield,
yes. Kind of right in the borderline between Haddon Township and Haddonfield.
The BJ Willahans, I'll give them a pre-plug.
There you go. Yeah.
Do a little pickup at PJ Willahans. Too many pre-plugs today, Les.
You guys have a lot of commercials. I was you're raking in the dough there.
Yeah, well,
somebody's raking in the dough.
Jody and I are.
Not exactly sure who that is, but hey, Les, we haven't had you on since the draft. Like everybody else, we gave ours. We need yours. Howie Roseman's draft, heavy on the quantity, a little less on the quality. Moved up aggressively, got their guy to play nose tackle, got their superstar wide receiver, but only 5 draft picks. Grade for Howie Roseman for the job he did draft weekend in upgrading the Eagles' talent on their roster.
Well, I always hate these grades because we have no idea, but I B plus. I didn't like the idea of ending up with 5 players. You mentioned that. And again, he didn't get a corner, which I know you guys were talking about Bradberry right before I came on, but 2 years in a row, I would have laid heavy money on the Eagles getting a corner sometime in the first 2 days of the draft.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened either year. I'm at a loss now. It's been, I think 2015 was the last time they spent a second-round pick on a corner, and that was a guy that was Eric Rowe that was playing for the other team by the time they got to the Super Bowl. And, 2002 was the last time they took a corner in the first round, which was Lito Shepherd. I don't disagree necessarily with anything they did. Their explanation on Cam Jurgens instead of a corner in the second round was that they had him rated much higher than any of the corners that were left. And I guess I can accept that. You don't want to force a position. That's how you miss great players. But they had to make all those trades the first day to move up for Jordan Davis and then to get Brown. They would have had some ammunition to move up in the second round, the second day, and maybe they could have gotten a corner, I think that's a huge that's the only reason I wouldn't give him an A. I mean, I liked a lot of the things. I don't have anything against any of the guys they drafted. I think, they did some interesting and pretty solid things there. Getting to Kobe Dean, I think, was tremendous in the third round. But no corner. They're one real corner they have on their roster that, we know can play in the NFL is 30 years old, Darius Slay. I think this is a problem going forward, frankly.
Yeah, and you're right, Les. I know we were all perplexed last year with Zach McPherson in the 4th round, and then the Eagles were acting like, no, we're good with Zach McPherson. And then 2 days, I think it was 2 days before training camp, Steve Nelson showed up and was, first team drill starting corner and basically never left. So I find it very hard. They're going to go into a season and say, it's your job, Zach McPherson, or it's your job, Tay Gowan. What they do have, though, is numbers at corner. Yeah. They have a whole bunch of bodies. So a whole bunch of darts. Whereas safety, they don't have a whole bunch of bodies. It's Anthony Harris, it's Marcus Epps. You can argue Kayvon Wallace. Howie Roseman brings up Andre Sacheret, but he's a special teams player. They brought in Reed Blankenship as an undrafted free agent. They don't even have darts at safety. Should we be more concerned about safety than cornerback even?
You know, I haven't been, because they brought back Harris, and I think Epps is really pretty decent. But you're right, the depth isn't there. But you can pick up. I think you can pick up backup safeties that aren't bad, or easier than you can pick up somebody who's going to be a starting corner. You know, but yeah, that's something they still need to work on as well, and I think they will as they move forward here. The numbers at corner, they do have some guys. They keep saying they really like these guys that they have, you know, that they picked up, the odds and ends that they picked up here and there. And some of them do have interesting backstories, you know, guys that maybe weren't high draft picks because they sat out a COVID year and then went into the draft or something like that. You know, it's possible that they'll mine some gold nugget out of that, but I would much rather have a known quantity there.
Les, I think we all realize that the Eagles want to throw the ball more this year. If they didn't, they wouldn't have gone out and gotten A.J. Brown and paid what it costs to get him and what it costs to sign him. So we know they want to throw the ball that much more this upcoming year. Easier said than done. Just got to call the plays and believe in your guys. Stretch your faith. Their actions do speak louder than their words will. But at some point, they're actually going to have to pull the trigger on the field. Is this what the head coach would prefer to do, or do you think he is tempted by the success he had last year at running the football as often as they did?
I think it's what he wants to do, and I think that's what everybody wants to do in the NFL. You know, you want to score points. You want to score points quickly. You know, you need to have a pass-based offense to really win big in the NFL. The variable is Jalen Hurts. I mean, they have everything else. They have an offensive line that ought to protect. They have plenty of receivers, plenty of weapons. Do they have a quarterback who can make that work? You know, they tried to do it early last season, and you know, after the opener, it was not working. And that's why they shifted to more of a run-based offense. You know, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see what they end up doing, but definitely with A.J. Brown, you want to get the ball to him, and you want Devontae Smith in his second year. You want to see progress from him, and Dallas Goedert, and you know, you've got that's where your money is right there. You know, so yeah, that's where you want to go.
Does it help at least a little bit less that AJ comes from an offense that was also run heavy? Well, you know, arguably the only more run heavy offense in the Eagles, at least when Derrick Henry's healthy. So he's kind of used to being a good receiver that probably doesn't get the ball as much as he should. Is that helpful at a position where, let's face it, if you look around the rest of the league, there's a lot of divas. It's a selfish position, I'd like to call it. Everybody wants the football.
Right.
A.J. Brown's
that's
used to
a very good point, John. I think that is one of the things that attracted them here is that he does understand, you know, that he's played with a quarterback who isn't, you know, Matt Stafford or Aaron Rodgers, or, you know, I think he kind of gets the whole deal. And I hope he does anyway. And, you know, that his first year with Jalen Hurts is probably going to be a little up and down. You know, they don't really, I mean, they're friends and they've worked out together and all that. But, you know, they haven't really played that much. They haven't played any together. And Jalen Hurts is very much a work in progress. He's probably he is the biggest variable going into this Eagles season. The biggest reason, I mean, if you could guarantee me that Jalen Hurts would be in the conversation for the Pro Bowl this year and that he would take a solid step upward from last season, I would probably guarantee you that the Eagles would make the playoffs again, and probably with a better record than last year. But, you know, we don't have that guarantee.
Les, do your wind chimes on your palatial estate ring when you're accurate or when you're inaccurate? When you're making the correct point, do we hear the wind chime? Or when you're off base, is that when the wind chime? How is the wind depicting what Les Bowen is telling us here on Birds 365?
I think every time the wind chimes chime, a cornerback gets his wings.
Yeah. At first, I thought it was Mr. Salty coming around the neighborhood a little bit early.
No, that's always the Mulberry Bush. That's the only song they have on that truck. You get real tired of it quickly.
Little early for Mr. Softy. I'll go by noon, but 9:35, I can't go Mr. Softy just yet. All right, Nakobe Dean fell to the Eagles in the second round of the draft, third round of the draft, excuse me.
Yes.
I think it could be the steal of the draft a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Edwards did a nice job for this team last year. John and I debate this a little bit. I think Dean is going to become their starting middle linebacker, and they're going to have to move Edwards a little bit. I think he's going to be on the field about 80% of the time this year. He is proclaiming his health. He says the pec thing is no problems. We know he's had knee injuries before. Cross my fingers he doesn't have them this year. Does he have a chance to be the biggest contributor for the Eagles rookie-wise this upcoming season?
That's a good question. Because Jordan Davis will be playing in a rotation and Cam Jurgens isn't going to start probably. That's an interesting thought. He does. I wouldn't throw out TJ Edwards, though. I think what I imagine, and this is just me speculating, is that we're going to see situational defense. We're going to see, if it's 3rd and 1, it's going to be TJ Edwards. And, there's going to be a lot of moving back and forth, maybe like a 5-2 or something like that. Getting edge rushers, maybe Nakobe Dean rushes a little bit. He's good at that. Maybe they blitz a little more with Nakobe Dean. I don't know exactly what his role is going to be. I don't know if he can stay healthy, which I suspect is probably why he dropped to the 3rd round with his size and the physical way he plays. I think maybe teams were sort of, he's a good player, but how often are you going to have him available? Is he going to have a long career? Those kinds of things. So I don't know if you want him to play 80% of your snaps. I think he might get kind of worn down if he did that. But there's a decent chance he's the impact rookie. That's a good thought.
Let me whittle it down to 3rd and 7, Les. So it's 3rd and 7. You kind of know the reason why I'm doing that is you can still run the ball. If you put dime out there, if you go completely, you can run the ball, you can draw, you can pick up a first down. So you're going to want 2 linebackers on the field in nickel. I think one has got to be Kaiser White because he's the hybrid safety sort of coverage player. Then in that type of situation, do you think 3rd and 7, week 1, it's going to be Nakobe Dean, or it's going to be more of a ramp up process? And let's use TJ first. If Nakobe proves himself, maybe second half of the season, we'll see more Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody that understands the defense really well, and I think that's going to be the key. We're going to have to go through training camp and see how Nakobe Dean's learning process works and things like that. It's really impossible to say. You're right about Kaiser White, but we've gone through this a few times with the Eagles where they've not drafted, but they've gone out and gotten a linebacker in the offseason, and we thought this will be the guy, and then September comes and it's like, well, that guy, no. I mean, they're not really paying Kaiser White, I hope he turns out to be, what they signed him to be, but it's entirely possible that, Davion Taylor or somebody like that is going to end up being the other linebacker. I don't know. I mean, we're a long way from making those. I know it's fun to talk about now, and I don't mind talking about it, but reality, there's many bridges to cross here.
Russ, John gave you a very specific situation. I'm going to do the same. He went week 1, 3rd down and 7. I'm going week 10 before the game ever starts. The Washington Commanders are coming into town to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. And let's say the Eagles defense gets announced, which means the Washington offense gets announced, which means Carson Wentz will be introduced and run out of the tunnel for the Washington Commanders. Give me the percentage breakdown, boos to cheers, when Carson Wentz's name blasts through the PA at Lincoln Financial Field.
Oh, I'm going to say 70% boos. I think at this point, people are really down on Carson. When he left, I don't think it was nearly as high, but I really think what happened in Indianapolis last year has further, sullied his image here, even though it worked out well for the Eagles in getting the first round pick.
Yeah, they should be happy.
Yeah, but that's not how fans
I
think.
know.
I know. The fans are thinking this cements it, this guy's a bum, If you really ask me what to predict what's going to happen, is Carson Wentz going to be healthy by that point?
That's what I said. I said it's very unlikely that if he is healthy, he might be benched as well. You got to throw that in.
This is going to be fascinating to me. Somebody said yesterday, this is his last chance to prove he's a starting quarterback. I think that's certainly true. After this, he becomes a guy that kind of roams around and, you bring him in with another guy and you hope you can get through a season or something. But maybe he makes it work here. It was working at times in Indianapolis, and then they had that horrendous finish, and that just killed everything. I think with a lot of owners and a lot of teams, he would have gotten another chance. But I think Jim Irsay was so disappointed in him off the field with the vaccine thing that really kind of was the start of the problems they had down the stretch when he, got COVID and had a horrible game, even though he was cleared. I think a lot of places they'd still be hoping that he came through this year in Indianapolis, but Irsay got him right out of there. And now he's kind of like everyone is saying, he's kind of on his last go round as a starting quarterback. I don't think Washington's going to be that good. He has a really good receiver in Terry McLaurin, but it's not a team. He hasn't shown since 2017 that he could really elevate a team, and that team's going to need elevating, frankly.
Now, week 4, I believe, Doug Peterson returns to Lincoln Financial Field. Now, that's going to be all love, right, Les? Nobody's booing Doug Peterson.
Nobody's booing Doug. No. That's, he's he won the Super Bowl for this franchise, the only coach to ever do it.
Howie and Jeffrey might disagree with you, but I agree with you.
Yeah. No, nobody's going to boo Doug Peterson. And the fact that it's probably a game the Eagles should win is going to, there won't be a lot of animosity around that whole situation.
Now, what if the Jaguars upset the Eagles? We're all talking about this Eagles schedule. They're going to start 4-0. It's easy,
right?
Which I don't believe. They're going to lose one of those.
There's no way they're going to start 4-0. I'll tell you that.
They're going to lose to Minnesota or Carson Wentz at Washington. That would be my guess. But if it's Jacksonville, and God forbid it's 2-2, well, how much heat is Nick Sirianni getting if he loses to Doug Peterson in the Jags?
A lot, because then you're heading into a tougher stretch of the schedule. I don't have it right in front of me, but you got Arizona,
Dallas,
Dallas, it's, it's you got to get off to a 3-1 start with the schedule they have. I think I would say you're looking to have 10 or 11 wins this year. I mean, I think that's a reasonable expectation if they find a corner somewhere. 2-2 would be a bad start. And there'd be some heat on a lot of people, probably Jalen Hurts, probably Nick Sirianni. It'd get real interesting if this season didn't turn out to be what we're thinking it will be right now.
All right, let's track the owner, since John broached his name, Jeff Flory.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Laurie said on the day that they announced that Doug Peterson would not be back as the head coach of the Eagles, that the Eagles were going into a transitional period.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good for a transitional period to have a winning record and to make the playoffs. So the transitional year went well. This year, when we heard from the owner, he said, we're trying to serve two masters, both get better right away, but also have an eye on the future, that we want to stay good for a period of time. With what Howie Roseman has done this year to this point, have they achieved their goal? Have they done both, gotten better for 2022, but also kept an eye enough on the future that this team should be a playoff contender for the next several years to come?
I think they're moving in that direction. I don't think that's proven yet that they're going to be a playoff contender for years to come. A lot of that depends on the quarterback, Jody, whether they have a quarterback or not, you know. But you see, like the move that I criticized, the Cam Jurgens move, that's a future move, you know. And Jason Kelce says, yeah, this is the guy. This is the best college center I've seen in the last 5 years. And Jason Kelce, I'm going to say, knows these things, you know. Mm-hmm. So they have, and on defense, you know, they've gotten, looking at their defense a year ago, I was like, holy crap, they're not very good and they're old, you know. They have brought in younger talent. It's not done yet. They still need more young talent on that defense, especially a starting corner. But, you know, it's getting there. I think, you know, you can't really criticize too much anything they've really done the last 2 years. They haven't drafted a Jalen Reagor or, you know, they haven't done anything horrendous. They're moving forward. It's just they're a long way from the finish line, I still say. But, you know, they're moving forward.
Now, with the Cam Jurgens pick, Les, what the Eagles would argue, and, you know, part of it, go back to 2020 when they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round. People called that a luxury pick. Now, that's a little bit disingenuous because, you know, part of the reason Carson Wentz, we can debate percentages, but fell into a funk had to do with the Eagles drafting Jalen Hurts, but he turned out to be anything but a luxury, and I'm talking about Jalen. Mm-hmm. Last year, it was Landon Dickerson. Everyone said, what are you drafting Landon Dickerson? He's hurt. He's a luxury. And all of a sudden, he's needed. Now he's entrenched as the left guard of the future. And now people this year are saying Cam Jurgens is a luxury, and I understand why. But today's luxury turns into tomorrow's necessity pretty quickly in this league.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, Jason Kelce seems to be laying some breadcrumbs that this really might be it.
Right. I think it is. Yeah, I don't think there's any. I think he's made it pretty clear. But, yeah, go ahead.
So if that's the case, it's probably not a luxury. Are the Eagles taking a little bit too many knocks for the Cam Jurgens pick, especially when you see what happened with Jalen Hurts and Landon Dickerson in prior years?
Yeah, I didn't, you know, it's not the worst thing that ever happened. I'm just saying they needed a corner, you know, and that's to start this year. But yeah, I don't, if their evaluation of Cam Jurgens is correct, you can't really criticize drafting a starting center. There was a time during the Andy Reid years, position valuations changed. Under Andy Reid, the center was kind of an afterthought. Hank Fraley, you know, knocked around. He'd been with the Steelers and he came here. He was just a guy they created, you know. Jamal Jackson was undrafted dude that they kind of built into a center. That's kind of not the way it's gone since Kelce took over, and during the Kelly, Peterson, Sirianni regimes. I think what they've been telling us is, you know, center's pretty important to us in the way we're doing things now. The leadership, you know, they have the center call out the protections and you know, who the mic is and all that. And, you know, I guess it's a more, you don't draft one in the first round, but you can certainly, countenance drafting one in the second round. Even though Kelsey was a 6th round pick, you can't count on that. You can't count on getting an all-time great in the 6th round. So I don't lambaste them for doing that. I'm just saying, in a perfect world, that would have been a good spot to get a corner.
All right, let me be a good team player here. Since we talked about we're all South Jersey guys and where we all call home and are broadcasting from right now. John's a little further south than you are, Les.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Giants and the Eagles this year, carpooling you and McMullen, he picks you up because it's on the way, but you got to pick him up on the way down to Washington since he's south of you when you go that way. Can you guys work that out? Save everybody a couple dollars.
No, we meet at the Delaware rest stop. That's the key move. Going down
first stop or second stop.
Yeah.
It depends on who wants to do what. But that's usually the way Washington works. Sometimes going north, you'd meet it like right before you get on the turnpike there. Like there's a Bob Evans and some other stuff around
Mount
there.
Laurel,
Parking lot to meet at there.
Bob Evans in Mount Laurel has got some of the best breakfast on the face of the planet.
That's good coffee. We were talking about coffee. That Bob Evans coffee is rock solid, Jody.
Oh, they got.
But the key carpool back in my Flyers days, if you had to go to Uniondale, you definitely wanted people with you on that because that was a miserable.
Oh, you might as well go to Ohio. You got a better chance of getting there sooner. Long Island.
Now you're bad mouthing Long Island. MJF's going to get a hold of you.
Nothing wrong with Long Island.
Don't be bad mouthing Long Island.
When you get there, nothing wrong with Long Island. But
it's the Belt Parkway.
Yeah, it's impossible.
You're talking to a guy who was on the Belt Parkway 6 days a week for 5 years. Yeah. You don't have to tell me about the Belt Parkway. Hey, glad you got outside last year. Got it better than us. Your wind chimes added to the entertainment value today. Thank you very much for that. We'll certainly get back with you again in a couple of weeks.
And NJ.com, read New Les. Yes. That's how he likes to call him. New Les at NJ.com. Follow him online at Twitter at Les Bowen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's Les Bowen here with us on Birds 365. You did pick up on the wind chimes in the background, right, John?
Oh, yeah. I at first I thought it was, and then I forgot what time we're on in the morning. I thought it was, I said, that's too early for Mr. Salty, but then I figured out it was the wind chimes.
I thought maybe there was someone accompanying Les playing the piano just off camera to make his points stick out even more. No, wind chimes at their best in Haddon Township. All right, Jody McDonald, John McMullen, the Mac and Mac guys coming back. We need to put a bow on the show.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, we're pushing the limit here, running out of time on Birds 365. Again, thank our two guests, Les Bowen and John Barchard, for hopping on. And J-Mac, I don't do this often, and I'm kind of the point guard of the show, so this would be on me. So if anybody gets ticked off that we don't do this, don't get mad at John, get mad at me. We have these streams on our screen every single day. I read them. Some of them truly entertain me. I got to give them their props because they converse amongst themselves that they don't necessarily converse with you and I. They have their own running conversation, which is cool. I enjoy it, and it's fun to read. We just don't reference it much on the air. Our buddy Sills later in the day uses it a lot more than we do because he's doing the show by himself. So he's got to talk to somebody. So he talks to the streamers. You and I at least have each other to talk to.
Yeah.
So I don't lean on the stream as much as some of the other JAKIB Media shows do. But I just got to note two guys today on the stream. Daz Deals, who's a solid, almost always here every day, not only streaming in, but commenting and jumping on the stream as well. He is an unrepentant Carson Wentz fan. And whenever we reference Carson Wentz, he comes to the defense of Carson Wentz. I used to be like Daz Deals, and then Carson did what he did. He went bad. He forced his way out of town. He choked for the Colts last year. I'm not sure how you can continue to defend him, but Daz Deal does. So I give him credit for his stick-to-itiveness. I think he's kind of got his Wentz-colored glasses on and blinders, needs to open up a little bit to see the big picture of Carson Wentz. But that is going to be fun, J-Mac, when we get there. The fact that Carson Wentz
get there. If we get there.
Well,
now,
we're
going to get there
you
week
think
3.
He's going to be hurt by week 3?
No, we'll get there week 3, but that's in Washington.
Yes.
I don't know if we're going to get there at Lincoln Financial Field. That's more questionable, which is a little bit disappointing.
And Les Bowen went 70-30. I'm 90-10.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got that wrong. I was trying to get Barchard up, and I wasn't. And I was thinking about guys coming back after their careers for whatever reason in my head. And then I think Philadelphia has gotten a bad rap. I think they've been very respectful of people coming back after their careers.
After.
After. You're right. And then I'm thinking, no, they're going to boo the hell out of him. He's in his career. And then Ben Simmons came up and he's going to get miserably booed, probably even after his career. So that's not even fair. I do think after his career, if Carson comes back for whatever, and certainly will for celebrations of Super Bowl championships down the line, I think then people will be very respectful. But yeah, this year, no, 90-10. I'm with you. I got that one wrong.
I've told this story on the air on the radio side so many times. People are probably tired of hearing it. I mentioned it earlier on this show. It's 30 years ago that this happened, but I was relatively new to Philadelphia, and Philly had this reputation of being such a tough town. And I specifically said, I'm going down. I got a press pass. I wasn't a fully accredited Eagle beat guy, but I got a press pass for that. I wanted to be in the house the day Reggie White came back to town because he's one of the greatest players in the history of the National Football League, one of the greatest players to ever wear an Eagle uniform. Never was offered a contract by Norman Brayman, the owner of the Eagles. It wasn't like the Eagles lowballed him. They no-balled him. They didn't even give him an offer. So he ended up with Green Bay. And sure enough, the Packers came back to the vet first half of the season. I want to say it was an October game. I can't remember the exact date. Might have been late September, but I think it was October. And it was 2-1 boos to cheers for Reggie White. So I said, that to me shows the way Philadelphia fans do their bit. They root for the uniform.
Well, as they
more
should.
Beloved than Reggie White,
as they should,
and more fans booed him than cheered him here. That's what it's all about. It's about the uniform, rooting for the laundry. Carson Wentz is coming in maroon. He will be booed unmercifully.
Yeah. Great Jerry Seinfeld joke. Yeah. You're rooting for laundry. You're not rooting for players. And you're right. You're 100% right. After the career, things will change. Typically change. Not always, but typically. Yeah, I do think, though, you go back to Reggie White's era. I do think things have softened a bit since Reggie White's era. Like, those fans were vicious. I don't think they're as vicious as they were back then.
And you know what I think has something to do with that? The stadium.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
The vet was a tough place.
Yeah.
You needed to be a tough fan to occupy the vet.
Yeah.
The link is still tough. I think it's a good home field advantage for the Eagles. Not as nasty or tough a crowd as it used to be in the vet. So on that, we will agree. On that, we also mark the fact that we are out of time. John McMullen, I'm ready to come back 22 hours from now. Are you?
I am ready to do it. Nice day. I got to get outside. Les Bowen just showed me that.
If you're going outside, have a good day outside. If you're staying right here, you know what's coming up next. Got a full lineup of great shows all day long here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. And then you get Mac and Mac again in 2 and 2.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.